Hello, welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Television with the most important events of the day. I'm your host, İlham Məmmədov. On September 29th, President İlham met with the visiting Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili.
Dear Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to see you. Welcome to Azerbaijan. I'm glad to see you again in our country. We already are meeting second time this year, and also we had several telephone conversations discussing important issues of our bilateral relations. And today, sure, we'll continue our dialogue, political dialogue between two brotherly countries. Has always been very active and continues to be active now. We closely cooperate in issues related to foreign policy, especially now in our region, with the new challenges and new opportunities. And of course, strengthening political ties between our countries is important, not only for our peoples, but also for the whole region. I looked at some data and saw that we have good progress in economic development. Trade turnover is growing. Today there will be a meeting of Intergovernmental Commission, which I'm sure will cover many important areas, review what has been done and plan our future steps. We're very encouraged by the very positive investment climate in your country, economic reforms, which allow you to resolve many social and economic issues. I'd also like to congratulate your government with great success in development of Georgia in all the areas. And we as friends and brothers are happy to see this development and wish you personally and your government every success in new endeavors. And of course, today we'll also talk about traditional areas of our cooperation, like oil and gas, electric energy, transportation. So these projects which have already been implemented, and we now enjoy the benefit of these projects, and which created a very special format of cooperation between our countries, because these projects are important not only for our countries, but for many more countries in the Eurasian region. So I'm sure that today's visit will also give a new boost to our cooperation, and want to express gratitude for accepting my invitation and visiting us. So welcome once again.
Mr. President, thank you very much for inviting us. It's a great pleasure to be here in Baku. Thank you very much for your welcome and hospitality. It's a great opportunity to speak about our bilateral relationship, which is excellent. We're friends, brothers, as you mentioned. And we will also be holding 8th Economic Commission meeting today, and we will discuss our bilateral relationship, which is developing. Georgia is, of course, interested in strengthening our bilateral ties, political, economic, cultural, and so on. And also we are interested in a peace and stability in the region, and this will be a foundation for a robust economic development. This is my second visit already this year, and as I mentioned, Mr. President, we spoke many times already, several telephone conversations, and I'm sure we'll discuss today many issues which are related to our future, and I'm sure that this will be another fruitful meeting, and I want to thank you again.
Then President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham and Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili, had a business lunch. We need to engage in a new activity in the region in order to make the region more predictable, stable and safe. President İlham in an interview with France 24 channel, stressed Azerbaijan's readiness to start a dialogue with Armenia. It's about the forthcoming work on a peace agreement because the war is over and the Armenian political establishment rejecting the ideas of revanchism must adequately respond to the realities of the post-conflict period.
In response to yet another aggressive invasion of Armenia, the Azerbaijani state launched a counter-offensive operation in September last year, and after 44 days having won a historic victory, liberated its lands. The obligations assumed by the defeated side are reflected in the tripartite statement signed on November 10th. However, along with non-fulfillment of these obligations, Yerevan is making more absurd claims from the tribunes of the UN Council of Europe, CSTO, and other organizations. President Ilham in an interview with France 24 channel once again recalled that the conflict is over and the idea of the Pashinyan government as well as the Armenian opposition about revenge could put Armenia in an even worse position.
War showed that they have no chance in front of us. We don't want to start war. We don't need it. We never needed it during the years of negotiations. But now I think it's a time to warn them to give up the efforts of revanchism and to look to the future.
With the support of France acting as co-chair of the OSCE Minsk group, Armenia is raising the issue of the status of Karabakh, stressing that the future peace agreement with Azerbaijan will be signed only if the Armenian dreams associated with the region come true. Moreover, declaring that Yerevan does not assume responsibility for the Zangezur corridor project, at least it issued to it at end, and accuses Azerbaijan of moving to the territory of Armenia. Through the effective impact of new information strategy of the head of state, the enemy cannot find real support for its false claims, and at the expense of the mediators, hopes for minimal dividends. Contrary to the statement of the Azerbaijani president, I am sure that we will go back not on tanks, we will go back by cars, by trains, on foot and airplanes. Pashinyan's government putting forward various hypotheses promotes new manipulations. Although the solution to these issues emanates from the delimitation of borders, the opening of communications and the elimination of the status issue from the agenda once and for all.
Claims that Nagorno-Karabakh, as they call it, do not belong to us. They still claim that either it belongs to Armenia or it is kind of independent entity. But there is no Nagorno-Karabakh on the political and geographic map of Azerbaijan. This kind of entity does not exist. And therefore, Armenia, in the first place, should withdraw any territorial claims against Azerbaijan, behave itself as a good neighbor, and we will respond adequately.
Undoubtedly, this warning causes serious concern in the Armenian society. For several days in Yerevan, various versions have been put forward about the bitter consequences of the Second Karabakh War. Statements are made that Armenia's traditional friends did not provide needed support, that in the new period there were new expectations from the OSCE Minsk group co-chairs. Some remind that the Karabakh War was lost back in 2016, that is in the April battles. Others announced the start of the new war in the near future, while still others, among them is the Armenian henchman Nuriya Karutyan, hiding in Karabakh, believe that although the battle is lost, the claims of the Armenian side will remain unchanged. That is, he raves about the fact that the Karabakh issue should be resolved within the framework of the principle of self-determination of peoples. However, recent processes indicate that people living in the region have already lost hope for any help from Yerevan and have already begun to talk about their readiness to participate in projects implemented by Azerbaijan.
That we were ready to provide Armenians in Azerbaijan with a certain level of self-governance, but Armenians always rejected it. They always said no, only independence. But now, when the conflict is over, they start to talk about autonomy, which today is not on our agenda. Armenians who live today in Karabakh, in the area which is now under the responsibility of Russian peacekeepers, are citizens of Azerbaijan, like any other representatives of different ethnic groups which live in our country.
So they will not have any autonomy. This is now off the table.
Exactly. This is off the table.
So, in an interview with France 24 channel, Azerbaijan once again stated what is the plan of action for resolving the Karabakh issue. Now, the main question is for the Pashinyan government, which signed the act of surrender, to accept the current realities and demonstrate an adequate position. Otherwise, everything can lead to even more bitter consequences for Armenia. This is also clear to the co-chairs that are forcibly involved in the process by Yerevan.
The visit of the parliamentary delegation led by Speaker of the Milli Majlis Sahibə Qafarova to Kazakhstan continues. A number of official meetings were held in Nur-Sultan. During the meetings was Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, Speaker of the Kazakhstan Parliament Nurlan Nigmatulin, and Senate Speaker Maulen Ashimbayev. The Speaker focused on the recognition of the Khojaly genocide. The Speaker of the Milli Majlis gave detailed information about the forthcoming 30th anniversary of the Khojaly genocide and noted that some international organizations and parliaments of the countries have recognized this tragedy as genocide. The Speaker said the Kazakh parliament should convey its position on this tragedy, which is a great crime against humanity. At the meeting, Sahibə Qafarova also spoke about the end of the 30-year occupation of Azerbaijani lands with the victory in the Patriotic War and large-scale infrastructure projects implemented in the liberated areas. Speaker of the Milli Majlis, Sahibə Qafarova, also met with the first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev. Nursultan Nazarbayev said he was closely following the processes taking place in Azerbaijan, adding that the victory of our people in the Patriotic War was important for the whole region and the Turkic world. Nursultan Nazarbayev noted that the foreign policy pursued by President Ilham Aliyev, steps aimed at ensuring peace and stability in the region, the opening of transport corridors and the new realities have greatly strengthened the image of the Azerbaijani state in the international arena. The 8th meeting of the Joint Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation between Azerbaijan and Georgia was held. During the meeting, the prospects of bilateral cooperation were discussed. Azerbaijan and Georgia support each other in international organizations, and there is an active political dialogue between our countries. Prime Minister Ali Asadov spoke about the successful development of bilateral relations in different fields, in particular in economic trade, energy, transportation, transit, investments, and humanitarian fields. He brought to the attention that despite the negative impact of the pandemic, during the 8 months of this year, the trade turnover increased by 41%. He particularly emphasized that Azerbaijan was one of the biggest trade partners of Georgia and was the country that invested the most to the Georgian economy. Noting the successful implementation of the Southern Gas Corridor, he underlined that this project was of great significance for the welfare and development of both Azerbaijan and Georgia. Speaking of the mutually beneficial cooperation in transportation and transit fields between the two countries, the Prime Minister noted the increased volume of cargoes transported by Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway. Touching on the new geopolitical and geo-economic reality formed after the liberation of Azerbaijani territories, the Prime Minister said that the restoration of transport communication systems in the region was promising big perspectives and would be beneficial for all the countries, in particular Zangezur Corridor. Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili, said they attach great importance to strategic partnership with Azerbaijan and brought to their attention that they intend to strengthen friendly relations. He noted that Georgia is interested in expanding further the cooperation with Azerbaijan in all directions. Irakli Garibashvili underlined that Azerbaijan was the leading investor in Georgia. He particularly stressed that during the pandemic, Azerbaijan supported Georgia. During the meeting, prospects of cooperation in different fields, including in IT, agriculture, culture, education and tourism were discussed. In the end, the protocol of the 8th meeting of the Joint Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation between Azerbaijan and Georgia, agreements on cooperation between the governments of Azerbaijan and Georgia on state border points, on standardization, metrology and assessment compliance, cooperation program on cultural cooperation for 2021-2024 between the Ministry of Culture of Azerbaijan and Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth of Georgia, and Memorandum of Understanding between Azerbaijan Export and Investments Promotion Foundation as well as Azerbaijan Small and Medium Business Development Agency and LEPL Enterprise Georgia Agency were signed. That was all for today. Thank you for being with us. Goodbye.